Hi, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. I'm Crystal Dawn Hill, and I want you to know that this message that I'm about to share is coming from a very triggered place inside of me. It's very fresh. The trigger just occurred within the past hour, and I want to talk about it while I'm feeling a very powerful emotional charge from the trigger that took place. This is in reference to divine partners. When one divine partner is refusing to communicate with the other divine partner who is trying to honor their twin space, but at the same time wanting to make an effort and wanting to communicate. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about the trigger and why it's triggering me and what I would like to share about it from as much of an objective standpoint as I possibly can right now in the heat of feeling very emotionally triggered. So I have communicated often with my divine masculine that when he takes space away from me, I have respect for him and I want to respect his space. But at the same time, I honor my divine guidance, and if I feel strongly urged to reach out to him, if I feel I'm supposed to, then I do. And he's never directly responded to that, but when I say that to him, I usually get a feeling inside that he understands and he's glad that I'm able to follow my inner guidance. So I did that today, and I felt like the energy and our connection was really fresh and clean. And I sent him a meme in fun. And with that meme, I sent a very sincere message, wishing him a lovely day and thanking him for being a light. And that was it. I put a couple of emojis. One was the heart with the bow around it, and I think a smiley face and a heart, or something. I don't remember now. And I didn't even think about it anymore. I just sent the email and went on about other things that I was tending to and completely forgot about it. And a few minutes later, I felt like a very strong charge inside of me, like a jolt. And at first I didn't even realize where it was coming from. And then I remembered that I had sent that email, and I'm like, oh, he just read the email. And the jolt that I felt was a sense that he was feeling very stern and adamant, that like resistant, that he was not going to respond to me no matter what. So the reason that I'm on here talking about this is because my question is, but didn't he respond because of what I felt? Wasn't there still something inside of him that had an emotional response to my email? And when I pondered that, it was like this whole new dimension of possibilities was unveiled to me. And what I saw was can there actually be total silence between the divine partners? Is that even possible? And it got me thinking about all the people in the groups that are talking about being blocked by their divine partner or twin, or getting the silent treatment, or in some way the one twin makes a stance that they absolutely are not going to communicate with the other twin. And I feel like this is collective, and I feel like this is something that's kind of on the table for the collective right now to deal with and to deal with and to clear from the collective. And if my divine masculine and I can play a part in helping to clear this, then by all means, I'm going to be the first in line to talk about it. Even though, on one hand, I do feel like this is turning very personal and inward and private for me. That's why I want to do the video while it's fresh in my heart and in my mind, because I don't want my mind to talk me out of doing what I'm feeling very urged to do in my spirit. So, other than what I've already shared, I don't want to go into what I believe is happening personally between my divine masculine and me energetically. But I do want to share the insights that I received regarding divine partners and twin flames in general. And what that is how the silent treatment and no communication, how that affects the people is going to be determined by the dynamic of those people. So, to illustrate what I mean, I'm going to use my past relationships for different examples. And this pretty much applies to every past relationship I've had across the board, with the exception of maybe 2. So when I think back to my other romantic relationships, ones that were serious or long-term, like my 2 marriages, for example, and my one relationship, the most recent relationship that I was in that lasted 7 years. When those relationships were over, I knew that they were over. My relationship of 7 years, I wanted to stay in a friendship with him, but for reasons that I can't disclose because they're about his personal life, that wasn't possible. But I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need that communication with him. I don't need to maintain any kind of communication with him. And the same goes for my two husbands. Like, when I left those relationships, I didn't look back. I didn't have any regrets. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've wondered from time to time, how things would have gone differently for me had I stayed. But that's only in terms of my outward well-being and status. It doesn't have anything to do with the dynamic that I shared with them personally. And even other soul connections that I've had, when I knew that the relationship had come to an end with that soulmate, I didn't try to keep maintaining contact. Like, if I was able to be in communication with the person, yes, I would let them know how special they were to me and that I would like to, be their friend. But it wasn't like I needed that for my sustenance. Do you know what I mean? And the connection that I feel with my divine masculine, I don't really feel like I need that for my sustenance, but I feel like because of the connection that we share, I can't be fully who I am without being in contact with him. And I mean that in the most literal way imaginable, because I do really feel like there's a part of me disconnected or cut off, because he is that part of me. And so this brings me to what I actually was shown intuitively after I felt his resistance internally as a response to my email. What I was shown was there absolutely is no disconnect between you and your true partner. Because even if they refuse to communicate with you, that refusal is evidence of the connection, because you can feel that internally within you, and you know what they're doing, and you know what their reasons are. And their reasons is another point that I felt guided to bring up when I first had this insight and this vision. And that is that from their perspective, the reason for not communicating is telltale of whatever dynamic they share with a person. And I believe that that's the reason I wanted to use my former relationships to illustrate, because my lack of a need to stay in communication with my other relationships, that tells me that they are not my true divine partner. Even the guy that I felt was my twin for many years, when I let go of that connection, even though I love him very much as a person and I care very much about his well-being and what happens to him and what transpires in his life and whatever direction he goes, I care very much about that. But when I let go of the connection of ever wanting to be in a romantic relationship with him, when I let go of that, I was done. I knew that that was the end. It was a clean break. And with my divine partner, I can simultaneously be okay with not being in a physical relationship with him, but at the same time, I'm fully aware of the energetic oneness of which we are a part, of which we are immersed in. So I can also speak about different connections that like with a friendship, for example. I feel like this friend loves me unconditionally, and the love that's inside of her heart, even though she doesn't always express it verbally, it's very powerful and it's very intimidating because I can feel the unconditionality of her love for me, and the godly love, and the compassionate love. And it's scary because it makes me want to pull away because I've never received that from anyone before. And even though we're close to the same age, she does exude like a motherly energy toward me. And because it was with my mom that I had the worst dynamic in my childhood, then that, that's kind of frightening for me. And I don't feel so triggered anymore now that I'm talking this through. And if you're listening, and if you've listened all the way to this point, thank you very much. And this video isn't for the purpose of teaching or, enlightening or sharing information, as much as it is just using my personal experience to help others. And what better way to learn from someone's experience than in the time frame in which the person is having that experience. So, if you're by someone's side when they've lost a loved one, you feel compassion for them and you feel empathy with them as far as their grief and their pain and their anguish. And so that's why I wanted to come on in the heat of this moment, because I think that's the best time for others to learn from my experience, is when they're observing what I'm going through firsthand.